why I know.
So he calls this deck Esper Horizons. And I've never seen this deck before. We see Stoneforge Mystic, Snapcaster Mages, Vendilion Clicks, Restoration Angel, which already makes me happy. Jace the Mind Sculptor, and then the normal stuff: Swords of Plowshares, Brainstorm, Stifle. He loves Stifle. I know that. Do you remember New Horizons? The
Yes.
Bant one. He was one of the people that was really behind that.
So
but
that's
he's also
why.
got Thought Seizes, Inquisitions, Vindicates, basically straight up control deck around Stoneforge Mystic. Now, on the other side of the screen, we have Jesse Hampton. He's playing Reanimator. Jesse, you may recognize his name because he almost won Rookie of the Year. Yeah, we can go down.
Yeah,
I'll keep describing Jesse as they start playing. And Jesse was basically a lock for Rookie of the Year on the Pro Tour until Alexander Hayne won it.
And his miraculous win.
Yeah, he won Pro Tour Avacyn Restored and captured that Rookie of the Year because he also had a second place at a GP. Now, but Jesse had a top 8 in Philadelphia, a top 16, I believe, in Hawaii. He has really burst onto the scene with some really nice high-profile results, and we're going to get a chance to see him play Reanimator, which is a deck we've been talking about all weekend but haven't actually seen yet.
Now, I think, is it possible these names are switched because this
No.
looks okay?
The names are switched because
Okay.
Jesse is not married.
Okay, there you go. So names and
Yes.
deck lists are switched
They
because
are.
it's clearly Esper. I thought it was Esper Stoneblade when I first looked at the list. I think that
No.
most people would call it Esper Stoneblade, but it is Esper Horizons.
The reason he calls it Horizons, I think it's because he runs the Force Stifle, and
Okay.
I think he thinks that makes it a thing. I don't know. We can ask. I'll ask him later.
But that is obviously Kyle Boddy on the Boddy, Kyle Boddy on the right with the Esper Stoneblade,
kind of
Esper
weird
Horizons.
because it's spelled Body, but the word Body
Bodhi.
is spelled Bodhi.
That's true. That
But
is very
they just
strange.
for some reason, I don't know.
So Jesse is on Reanimator. Okay,
Yes.
this makes
Yep, they got it
now we've
switched up.
got it lined up the right way. I was gonna say, why is Reanimator running Tundra? And okay, yeah. Call it Esper Horizons
It's Esper Horizons
because
He
it actually
requested
says
specifically.
not Stoneblade, please on it. And when you ask nicely,
It's a different deck.
There's
Thank
a Gristlebrand
you,
in the
Troy.
yard.
What a nice guy.
Maybe can we get the judge to ask him to move his graveyard into view? So
We
that,
definitely need to see that.
This is
This is
the
critical
graveyard's
because I'm
pretty
assuming
relevant.
that it was an Entomb that got the Gristlebrand there.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So you can
we
see
see a fetch land. Can you move it over even a little more? I know we're being picky, but this is very important. Like he could just reanimate right here. Try to go through a Force of Will.
And there's an Animate Dead.
All right,
from
so
Jesse.
an Animate Dead is going to be targeting Grizzlebrand, and we're going to see the Force of Will come down for Kyle. He says, no, sir. Now, that won't be the last time that Jesse tries to reanimate Grizzlebrand this game. I see an Archon of, is it Justice? What is that card
Blazing
called?
Archon?
Blazing Archon, thank you. In Jesse's hand, along with another Grizzlebrand, which is, that's pretty bad. Like, that is definitely not what you want to see from the reanimation. And I see an Elishnorn, too?
Well, is he drawing all his
He's
threats?
just drawing all his
now,
threats.
Does he play Show and Tell?
No. I don't want to say that, actually. He might.
He plays it in the board, but
it's in the board. Okay.
not in the main.
Yeah, I've seen a list from Jesse, but he might have changed it since I have last seen it. What is that? Oh, he can just discard them. Hey.
Yeah, Careful Study.
Careful Study, that's draw 2, discard 2, right?
Yes.
It's
it is,
just like
Faithless Looting.
without flashback. All
Exactly.
Right. So we're going to see 2 huge monsters hit the bin, probably.
Yeah, he draws into Brainstorm and Ponder, I believe.
All right, now we still can't see those. I mean, I'm assuming it was Elishnorn and the Archon. Yeah, it is. So Elishnorn and Archon hit the bin.
And
we're
here
gonna
comes a
flash in
Batterskull from Kyle. Yep.
And I think this is a interesting thing that I've noticed is a deck like Esper Horizons here can flash in a Batterskull, and it's done it very cheap, and that's considered powerful. But when you look at what Jesse Hampton's actually doing, it's insane. Graveyard looks good, thanks. When you look at what Jesse's doing, it just goes over the top of stuff like playing a Batterskull. Like Jesse's deck does not care about a Batterskull.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you have a 4/4 lifelink? Oh, here's a 7/7 lifelink.
Yeah.
Also draw 7.
Right, like that's a cute little germ token you
Yeah.
have down there. All right, is this Is this Stoneforge attacking?
I think it is. Or no. Okay, so here's some mana happening here.
So I guess that there would be a equipment following shortly? What is going on here?
Well, we know the Stoneforge is tapped and the lands are tapped. So we're not quite sure what that's indicating.
All right, so
he attacked with Stoneforge and played another one.
Okay, and he also attacked with Batterskull.
Yeah.
So he's taken 5 from the creatures and 1 from his fetch. Why?
Because why not play the Stoneforge first, get an equipment, and use the Stoneforge to flash in the Stoneforge.
He probably didn't have enough mana to equip it.
Well, maybe not equip it, but get it into play.
Yeah, he can do that next turn and gets 1 extra damage, I guess.
I guess it represents 1 extra damage, and if he's not going to use the mana next turn, then sure.
Jesse finds a second ponder. He's also got a brainstorm. He's just going to go for a brainstorm here. 1, 2, 3, and he's looking for a reanimation spell. I mean, there's one right there.
Animate Dead, and he also has a Thought Seize, it looks like, in his hand.
I also see a Bloodstained Mire, which is going to shuffle away anything that he doesn't want here.
I believe he has another Entomb as well, but that's not even anything he's so worried about.
Probably just wants to. Well, you might want to hold on to it, actually, right? Yeah. I don't think that you could rely on Kyle having some way to blow out the graveyard. He's going to shuffle away the Entomb here. Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, he just put it on top with a Gristlebrand.
Yeah, because you wouldn't assume that Kyle would have a way to get rid of the graveyard in game 1, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Although with Reanimator being such a big part of the metagame, you never know. We did see Bajuka Bog main out of
do you see the land that Jesse has on his side of the board?
He does have Karakas.
Right. He doesn't play white, right?
Right.
I mean,
it's because
he's
of
just
Reanimator and Show and
the
Tell.
mirror.
Yeah. It's like Reanimator, Show and Tell, things like that. And so he's going to go ahead and play Animate Dead number 2.
Is this one going to resolve? So here's one interesting little interaction, and this might have been what Kyle was thinking. Look at Jesse's life total. He's 14, at 14. Yeah. That's very important because now he still has so now he cannot use Grizzlebrand twice.
Right.
Now I don't think he'd be doing that anyway. But that option is gone. And also, if he had drawn Reanimate, he could reanimate Grizzlebrand for 8, but then he couldn't use him at all.
Yeah.
So being like at 16, he could do that, but not here.
Actually, you're talking about why he attacked with the Stoneforge.
Right. Potentially.
Right. No, that's a good point. That's
because there's a huge difference between
1 activation and 2,
or 1 and 0.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Now the Stoneforge didn't take him off of 1 and 0 in this case. All right. And so Jesse has not used Grizzlebrand yet. I think he's definitely prepared for thinking about a Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, Kyle has a Swords to Plowshares in hand.
And we're probably going to see a Grizzlebrand activation and then a Force of Will fight. All right, Swords to Plowshares that. So he's got another Careful Study in his hand and 2 Ponders. So Grizzlebrand away.
Number 5, come on up to the side of this area. Standard 1 of us.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ridiculous, that card. Grizzlebrand.
Yeah. So Jesse goes to 6 here to hopefully draw an answer to a Swords to Plowshares.
So he needs to draw a Force of Will, I think, is the only thing that he can draw, right?
He needs to draw a double Force because Kyle has one.
Yeah. I think he just bricked. I don't think he hit any.
I don't think he did either. Can't see perfectly, but I don't see anything that looks remotely like a Force. Yeah, it's so like
Nielsen,
that bright red-orange.
Resolves. Now, Jesse is going to gain 6 life, go back up to 12, right?
Wouldn't he gain 7?
Well, it had Animate Dead.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Animate Dead.
So go out back up to 12. He's going to take 6, so he's on a 1-turn clock if he can't put something down onto the battlefield here. Now, he did draw 7 there. Now, since it wasn't a Force of Will, it could be another Reanimate spell.
Yeah, he had to draw something there.
If there wasn't Force of Wills, it was something. I know he's got a bunch of Ponders, a Careful Study. Oh, dagger.
Nice, just a rub in. What we know is that wouldn't have been enough because Kyle could have forced.
That is true. But still, when you're in Jesse's seat, you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, you're like, really?
I mean, I drew 7. Like, what do you want from me, right?
Oh, we want you to draw 8.
Yeah.
Clearly. Next card's probably Force 2. That's just a
Yeah, no, that would be
real burn. All right, so he taps his Underground Sea.
Ponder incoming.
All right, is it Force of Will?
1.
No.
2.
Yes.
There's another one.
They
and
were
another
true.
reanimate spell. So this is actually a very, very good ponder, although he's going to need those cards in his hand. So he's going to need a land. He's probably going to want a careful study, right? So he can careful study away stuff that he doesn't need because he wants all the Force of Wills and blue spells in his hand plus the reanimate. And right now he's only going to get one of them from the ponder. So he's going to need another blue source to make that all happen, though.
No, he doesn't have access to Gristlebrand because that was exiled from Swords. So in his yard, he's got Blazing Archon and Elishnorn as current targets.
Ah, truth.
So plays a Swamp. He does have another Gristlebrand in hand.
He does,
yes,
but that doesn't get him anywhere.
He needs to careful
until
study
he's
right
able
now,
to careful study, which he played the Swamp. So,
right, so, but it looks like he's going to maybe Entomb here. Did he draw another? I mean, it's very likely he drew another Entomb. Maybe he entombs. He's got 4 Gristlebrand in the deck.
he didn't have a blue source in his hand or a fetch land. Duress
Apparently
you.
not.
Jerry Bullard. And
Thought sees you.
Wow, going
Okay,
to 4
he's
here.
ballsy.
This is, yeah.
But it's going to get.
It's going to get the. Oh, that Force can't do anything anyway. That's kind of
No.
cool. I didn't realize Kyle
But
didn't have access.
he still
but he may have
obviously
had access to 5
Yeah,
mana.
he still takes it here though.
Does Kyle only have 4 lands?
Yes.
In
1,
that
2,
case,
3, 4.
In that case, that first Force would have
That's true.
resolved.
All right,
I
so
thought Kyle
Blazing
had
Archon
access.
comes in. Creatures cannot attack you, right? Or is it flying? What is it? Just creatures? I don't know. Creatures cannot attack.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Choi's putting it up on the screen too. I feel like every time I bring up a card.
Well, you can
He
look
does
at
it
it
too.
while
Yeah,
our
Blazing
viewers
Archon.
read it, right?
No, I believe
There
it's just
it is.
it's Peacekeeper, right?
Creatures
yeah.
can attack. No,
Yeah,
it's
not Peacekeeper. I mean, it's very similar to Peacekeeper. A lot of cards.
I
can be
don't
similar
think
to
that's
Peacekeeper.
similar.
Creatures can't attack you. It's a one-sided Peacekeeper, which is why it costs almost 5 times as much.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
No, I mean, they both have the text creatures cannot attack.
That's true.
There's only 3 extra letters.
That's right.
If that's how we decided how similar cards were, then yeah.
How many? I mean, I'm just saying, it's keeping his opponent from attacking him.
Truth.
That's my
But at the same time, he's going to be able to beat down with it.
Yes.
So he's got double Force of Will. At least he should have double Force of Will in his hand. He's got 4 life. So he's at a reasonable life total. What is this? What is that? Inquisition?
Use your force inside of its area.
It is Inquisition, so we are going to get to see Jesse's
3,
hand.
4, 5, 6, 7 cards. So he's got
Swamp, Tidespout Tyrant, is that what that one's
Yep,
called?
that's Tidespout Tyrant. Yep, and then
I
he's
know
got
what it
Force
is,
of
I
Will,
just couldn't
Ponder,
remember the name.
Daze, and a Careful Study. Yeah, Tidespout Tyrant is a card that I have.
Yes, I had it in my hand when
You
we were playing
did?
the Commander deck. Yes.
Yeah, so you know what that does in Commander? It has a Lurin combo.
Yeah, whenever you play a spell, return something.
Yeah, so like you
return
can
a
do it
target
with
permanent.
Mana War and just return all their stuff because you can keep returning your own Mana War. Pretty sweet. So Tidespout Tyrant, Allurin, Mana War. Play Mana War.
Oh, wow.
Return Mana War. Play Mana War. Return Mana War.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know why he's running it here. Like I don't know what combo or what situation he has. But I mean, it's whenever you play a spell, right?
Yeah,
So-
he's got a lot of cheap spells, Brainstorms,
Yeah,
Days,
just
Careful Study, Ponder. You see him
get
right
annoying
there.
stuff off the board or whatever. I can ask Jesse later for why he's running that particular card. So the Careful Study bites it. There is an Equip incoming, although that's just to use up his mana, because
Yeah,
why
creatures
not?
can't attack, so pass back to Jesse.
All right, so Jesse has stabilized here, and now he's going to look for a way to win the game. Although, as the board sits, he can just attack with a Blazing Archon over and over and over and protect it with his Force of Wills.
Yeah, currently that's his best plan.
Now, there's one Jace the Mind Sculptor in Kyle Boddy's list. That would work.
Yeah, so that
Bouncies?
would get the Force of Will, I think.
Yeah,
One of the Force
I
of
mean,
Wills
it
out
just
of
says like
everything.
so Swords of Plowshares would nab a Force of Will, as would Jace. Is this another ponder from Jesse here?
It is, and he is pondering whether or not to how he wants to set this up. Draw.
He is going to draw. It's another Force of Will.
Okay.
It is.
I mean, that's the plan.
So plan A,
Protect.
right? Yeah. This
Protect the
is a
queen.
land for Kyle. I mean, sure, play another Stoneforge. Why not?
Yep. Kyle passes back. Archon untaps. Jesse draws, I believe, a careful study.
Yep. Looks like he's just going to play
yeah,
it.
play careful study.
So Jesse has had like 3 turns now to carefully craft his plan.
And draws Iona. He's going to
draws
be able
an
to
Iona.
discard and lock Kyle out of
White.
white, probably.
That's what I would assume. I mean, it still does leave Jace, but he's got
Yeah, you have
more
multiple
plows.
forces.
Right. Although, yeah, and White does that too. There's 3 Snapcaster mages. Vindicate. It also locks Vindicate
Yep.
out. Now, I don't think that you would assume that Jesse knows that Kyle's running a Vindicate, but you know.
Still will name white, most likely.
Yeah.
So Archon again gets in.
We're going to see that over and over again.
I think that was Kyle's turn. It was just a draw go, like very quickly, because it looked like Archon just tapped, untapped, like within seconds. Ponder from Jesse. So he's going to keep, or he's...
I mean, he just needs to make sure he keeps enough cards in his hand so that he can just force of will at will. Also, a blue source would be nice here.
And he does have one.
And
right
he
there
has
off
one now
of the
because he can
Ponder.
just hard cast force of will at this point. You know, just run the
Saves
5
him that
mana
extra
counters.
1 life too.
The 1 life, but also just that he'll run, like if he has to
Exactly.
force using his force.
Yeah. And swing and pass the turn, I think.
Yeah, so he's just hitting him for 4 and 4 and 4 and 4. He's got him 4 turns away from death here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that Archon is a 5/6, but it becomes a 4/6 because of
Animate.
because of the animate dead. And you know, Kyle was at 25 when this all started, so it could have been. It's the difference between 5 turns and 7 turns. Kyle has a
huge
like
difference.
animate dead is giving him 2 extra turns.
All right, so Jesse's drawn Daze, which isn't going to do anything in and of itself, but it's a great pitch target for force.
He also drew reanimate, which isn't going to do anything but sit there in Jesse's hand or be brainstormed away.
Yeah.
Or careful studied away. That is, unless he's going to reanimate like a 1-drop.
All right, there's another land for Jesse. Is it a Bloodstained Mire?
Couldn't quite see. So Kyle Boddy with 3 Stoneforge Mystics, a Batterskull, a Germ, and a Jite on the board. And they're all useless. Can't do anything because Blazing Archon on Jesse's side of the board is keeping Kyle from attacking. But it's doing a lot of attacking on its own. So it is swinging for 4 every turn since it's enchanted by Animate Dead. And,
So Jesse's at 2.
yeah, Jesse now
He can
down to
only
2, and-
actually do 1 force of will.
Yeah,
Didn't,
but
I mean,
yeah, it didn't end up mattering.
didn't end up mattering.
But Kyle scoops him up there.
But Jesse has to be careful to manage his life total in that down the stretch, right? So that he can, you know, let's say that Kyle's being very patient and he's, you know, building up his hand to go plow, 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 or, you know, something like that. He's got to
I mean,
make
he
sure
played
that
a
he can
7/7
do it.
lifelinker. What do you want him to do?
That is what I want him to do, actually.
That's true. Play
Yeah.
this. So we've seen, we saw Gristlebrand there, and then
My favorite.
Yeah, that I think it's funny how Gristlebrand came down, drew him 7 cards, but that was it. It was like a whole lot of work for drawing 7 cards, but it was enough to get him to the tools to keep to play something like Blazing Archon.
Yeah, he
stay alive.
he didn't hit what he needed to hit or what he really wanted to hit off that initial draw 7, but he was able to draw the tools to win the game from that point on. I mean, like we were saying, okay, if you didn't draw a Force of Will there, what did you draw? Well, it was Careful Study, it was Animate Dead, it was a bunch of stuff to get that Blazing
Right.
Archon
Yeah.
into play.
It's like you had to have something.
You gotta have
there.
something,
Those
I mean-
cards aren't just.
Yeah,
You know,
and even the
literal
nothings in
blanks.
his deck are more ponders and more,
Yeah,
you know,
more
ways,
ways
to
to draw,
dig.
right.
Yeah.
So here's
Is
a
that
card.
in somebody's deck?
This is in Kyle's deck, and this is something that I've
Oh.
noticed. It's been picking up steam lately, very much because of Gristlebrand.
That
The-
could get very interesting.
The card I'm talking about is Gilded Drake, and Gilded Drake is a 3/3 for a blue and 1. It's flying.
Yep.
Woo! 3/3 flyer for 2. That sounds awesome.
Actually, that is awesome.
That's really awesome.
I'd
when
first pick that.
but the problem is you have to give it to your opponent, so that's pretty bad.
Would not play that one.
No. Well, what if you exchanged control of something like a Gristlebrand. So you give them the 3/3 flyer, but you get Gristlebrand.
I would do that.
Okay, well that's
so
the
if I
plan
could pay
here.
1 and a blue
Gilded Drake.
to steal Gristlebrand, I would do it.
Right, but you got to pay 1 and a blue and a 3/3 flyer. So
So
there
we've
it is
been
on
seeing
the
this
screen.
pop in. Is this a good answer to these
think it's
reanimator
a-
decks? I
it's a-
mean, he plays Gristlebrand, and you're like Gilded Drake, and he's like, draw 7, force it.
Right, it could be. I mean, it's just, but it is another answer, another way to force them to deal with it. And sometimes you get a Gristlebrand. I mean, we saw Zealous Conscripts in Standard doing it
Yeah.
for significantly more mana.
Well, and also, you know, one of the things that we saw in this game was that we had Gristlebrand, he died. What Gristlebrand, I mean, in my opinion, Gristlebrand did win that game.
I know what you
Drawing
mean.
7. Right, but Gristlebrand didn't actually hit anybody. It was a Blazing Archon, and Gilded Drake could have stolen that.
And that would have turned
It's like,
everything
hey,
around,
what are you
yeah.
going to do? Like, because Jesse's at 2. Like, reanimate, tear that up. That's
Yeah,
not coming into play.
exactly, reanimate
He
does
needs to get
nothing.
something else going on. So,
So, and now speaking of Reanimate, Kyle has 2 copies in his sideboard
no way.
for exactly, I assume, this matchup, where you're like,
That's
oh, you're going to
interesting.
throw cool guys in your graveyard? Wow, that's a really cute deck. I'll take your
Yoink.
Gristlebrand.
Yeah.
I'll take your Iona and say, you know, black or something. What are you going to
Well-
do? Draw a whole bunch of counter spells?
Right.
And what are you going to do? Does he have anything that's going to... If Jesse can only cast blue spells, he can't reanimate. He has no removal. Like, what does he do?
He can look at more black
He
and
can just
blue
look
spells.
at a whole bunch of spells
Yeah.
he can't cast.
Yeah.
He can't cast Gristlebrand even if he got up to that amount of mana.
Which is possible as well.
Right. He can cast Tidespout Tyrant.
There you go.
And then cast something
For
to
5 blue,
yeah.
blue.
Yeah, so for 8 mana, well, he has to get up to 8 mana, and then cast another spell to even get the Iona back. You know, get the
Yeah.
Iona off the board, which is, I'm just saying, like,
Well, now, I will say,
I'm-
Jesse has thought of this.
yes,
He's got a Caracas in his deck.
he does. We
just
saw that.
a
We
one of
actually saw it
Caracas, right?
in
Which
play,
is a risk, but I mean it certainly pays off when it does. You know, Jesse, I talked to him in between rounds. I said, "Hey, how's your tournament going?" He said, "Well, my first opponent put a Gristlebrand into his graveyard on turn 1. So Jesse's got his 7 cards, and he just watches his opponent, you know, careful study or entomb or whatever, and he put a Gristlebrand and say go, and Jesse goes swamp, reanimate that." It's just like, you know, I mean, the guy couldn't have known that Jesse was on Reanimator, but like at the same time, like that's nice, right? When you're
Yeah,
in
like-
Jesse's seat, you're just like, hey,
Thanks, 5 Gristlebrands.
yeah, you did- and this
Yours
one's
and
already
4
in
mine.
the yard, so
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks for doing the work.
Yeah.
I'll go
So
ahead and
Jesse
take
won that game.
Really?
Yes.
After taking 8 from a reanimate? Wow.
Yeah, stole that game.
So he paid it cost him 15 life and a card to draw 7 cards and end up with a 7/7 lifelinker.
and a 7/7 lifelink.
I think that seems reasonable.
I don't know
Legacy.
if fair is the right word, but reasonable probably.
Not reasonable either.
Yeah.
This is legacy.
Yeah, and I like this. This to me, this matchup and these decks feel very legacy to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch, and
Oh, I love it.
knowing like we're looking at their sideboards and we're seeing like, all right, so Gilded Drake, you see you know, the 2 copies of Reanimate. He's got Surgical Extraction, like you said.
I mean,
so
that
you know,
does
I'm
things.
gonna deal with your with all your Animate deads. Okay, that's good to know. The players needed a short break.
Yeah.
You guys can just, you know, come up with your own wild reasons as to why they needed a short break, but they'll be right back.
Yeah, but I like the Surgical Extraction just
Yeah.
in the sense that, like, I normally don't like that card very much. I think it gets played in Standard a little bit too much. I think people overrate those type of cards generally.
But here,
But I like it here because, now I don't know if Extirpate is better or not, but either way, I like those type of cards because what ends up happening is you get extra value. They spend an Entomb, that's a card. They get Gristlebrand in their yard or whatever. And then they spend Reanimate or
Right,
Animate Dead.
yeah.
And they're like, target that, and then you get to take it away. So you get immediate 2-for-1 off of that, and you get some value down the line where like they can't entomb for Grizzlebrand again.
You
know,
get to
he's
see their
gone.
hand.
You get to see their hand and every card they have.
And this is something I just loved when I was playing Blue Black and Standard. I played a little bit of Surgical Extraction with Snapcaster.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's a great.
it feels very Cabal therapy because you're like,
It does.
extract that, look at your hand. You know, I get to see that, and then you know what, Snapcaster, I know what's in your hand now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit. Oh, you had 2 of something in your hand, and you're tapped
And all
out.
you need to complete that entire transaction is a colorless and a blue, for the Snapcaster.
Exactly,
because
'cause
it's
you could pay
free
2 life for the
again.
extraction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and especially against Jesse's deck, I don't think that the life loss is really that relevant. Like, you might decrease your clock by a turn by spending the 4 life on it, but frankly, when Jesse's deck does what it wants to do, like, you're going to have a very tough time beating that anyway.
Exactly. So,
although
pretty exciting board.
Yeah, and Kyle's deck, I mean, it's got Swords to Plowshares. That's good against a lot of Jesse's stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it just is.
He's in pretty good shape here. I mean,
like, not Grizzlebrand, but against like Blazing Archon, yeah, get that out of here.
Right.
Iona. Actually, does Jesse have Iona?
Well, yeah, we saw Iona.
Jesse has Iona.
Yard, yeah.
So, Iona, it's good against that if Jesse hasn't named white already. It can bounce all of the non-legendary, or kill all the non-legendary stuff very easily as well. Because it's like Grizzlebrand and then Iona, and then as far as I know.
Now this is kind of neat. 3 Jace the Mind Sculptor in Jesse's deck, in the Reanimator deck. So just, hey, I'm.
What does that mean? Is that a transformative?
It's a little transformative. He's got 2 Vendilion Click, 3 Jace the Mind Sculptor. Gavin Verhey just stole water from us.
He's nice. We'll let him have a water.
That's fine. I just find it funny.
I mean, he doesn't get like a banana or an apple slice, but a water he can have.
Water, okay. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of cool. He's got 2 Vendilion Click, 3 Jace the Mind Sculptor. He can kind of transform into a pseudo control deck. Yeah, it's not a very strong transformation, but but it's something, and it changes the dynamic. If his opponent is entirely fighting his graveyard and trying to deal with, Gristlebrands and things, he's like, did you just play Vendilion Click? Oh my gosh, Jace! What's happening here? I mean, maybe it's also a nice way to fight opposing Jaces too. Like,
sure.
Which is, Jace tends to be a nice answer to a lot of these big guys too. Just bounce it.
Yep. Get that out of here.
I get 3 bounces. Yeah. While you try to find 3 reanimate.
Seal of unsummon times 3.
Yeah.
Like that.
Unsummon on your guy. I mean, you need to find another reanimate spell. All
right, we're back to the action here. So Kyle in his Esper Horizons list is going to just insta-crack a Polluted Delta, get some dual land. Looks like a Tundra this time.
Tundra.
Yep.
And Jesse now. 25 minutes left in the round, approximately. So about half the round is over.
Yeah.
Thoughtseize from Jesse. Now we
right
get to
off the bat.
Potentially see Kyle's hand, but I think he's just going to.
I think this is going to get pierced.
Oh,
it's going to get dazed.
Okay.
And we thought the same thing.
Yeah, I saw the spell pierce. I assumed he was using it, but daze.
I mean, spell pierce is more powerful later in the game, so he probably wanted to just get value from his daze.
So replays the Tundra, passes back.
Of note here, Jesse does not lose the 2 life because.
Yeah, Thoughtseize did not actually resolve. Yeah.
Right. All right, so Jesse has double basics here. He's not opening himself up to Wasteland, and we see a Duress. So turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Duress, and he's just going to keep pounding on Kyle's hand here. I guess Kyle just kind of has to use his spell pierce here.
Yeah, I think I use the spell pierce here just because, like, otherwise you're giving him a lot of information.
Yeah,
and
he can just take it
anyway, right?
Yeah. I mean, there might be something else he wants to protect as well.
Exactly.
He draws a Force of Will here. So he's got a Swords to Plowshares, no other lands.
Well, the cat's out of the bag.
And
Kyle
Jesse,
kept
I see a
one-lander.
Show and Tell in Jesse's hand. I don't know if he has something to play though. Is that a Grizzlebrand at the very back?
No,
I don't think it is.
Entomb to me.
It's an Entomb. Okay. Jesse's going to play a Flooded Strand and survey his options. All right, so there's a Brainstorm. I bet you we'll see a Brainstorm very, very shortly here. He just says go. No land. Kyle looks like he's just going to pass the turn back. And Jesse's going to Brainstorm now.
Yeah, there's that Brainstorm. Kyle is hurting for land. I mean,
so
that's just...
does Kyle have a Force? I think he does, but he's
does.
just going to let this one resolve. This is where I have no idea. Like I don't like. Do you ever force of will a brainstorm?
Sometimes, if you're really, if you're in good
is-
shape to win a game, in my opinion, and your
keep
opponent
it
is
locked?
digging for answers and they go brainstorm, you're just like, no, I'm not going to let you
Okay.
brainstorm to find an answer to me killing you.
Yeah, I just have no idea. Like this is where I'd ask some of my friends who play a lot more Legacy for thoughts on this.
I mean,
and I'd
it's
probably
not-
get 5 different answers, but at least I could form my own opinion, which I currently just don't have.
I think it's not terrible to force a brainstorm in this particular situation. I think Kyle's more apt to say, I'm going to save my force for something that's going to threaten me.
I mean, it feels
You're
like
gonna
Jesse's
brainstorm.
got a full set of ponders and brainstorms. Like he's going to be able
Yeah.
to resolve these type of
Exactly.
spells.
So you force that one. He's like, I'll just cast something else. I'll cast a second brainstorm, or I'll cast a ponder here. Like I'm gonna dig. I want to save my force of will for your show and tell or your reanimation spell.
Okay, Swamp Go. Swamp Go. And Kyle has now found an island, and he's just going to throw a Stoneforge in there.
And
I'm assuming that that's going to resolve.
I
I
assume
don't
so as
know
well.
how much Jesse cares about Stoneforge. Like, Kyle, has to use up a bunch of mana. Entomb. We're going to get Grizzlebrand. If Jesse has Force of Will backup, I don't know what Jesse's going to get, but I'm assuming Grizzlebrand. And if he does, I know he's also got an Anime Dead in his hand. So if he can back it up with a Force of Will, he should be able to resolve it.
he looked through his entire library there.
Yeah, I see him pull. He
looked like
pulled
Grizzlebrand up front.
Grizzle up front, but he might be thinking about other things that he wants to do here.
There's Entomb, a card that
Entomb
was.
looks so awful.
What, you don't like the artwork?
Oh no, I like the artwork. I just mean like when you read it, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
what? Like I don't want to spend a whole card on this.
Yeah, when it was in Odyssey. Okay, he did get Grizzlebrand. Does that look like Grizzlebrand?
That
to you?
looks like Grizzlebrand to me,
Maybe we
buddy.
can get the graveyard moved slightly, about 3 or 4 inches to Jesse's left.
All right, bless you. Grizzlebrand incoming. Bless you again.
Thank you.
Gesundheit.
I was able to turn the mic off there while I sneezed. I'm getting used to these things. So there's Animate Dead, and there's Force of Will from Kyle.
And that's going to
And
get
that-
snap forced back.
Yeah.
And by snap, I mean Jesse's going to think about it for a while.
I was thinking maybe Jesse doesn't actually have the other force. No, it looks like
I thought he had a force. He does.
Oh, he does. That's interesting.
Oh, Force Will's on the stack. Okay, see, I thought I saw him
it
pass the
didn't-
turn,
That's what I thought. I thought
but
he was like
that
that
must have
result.
been not what that was.
So he's gonna have to remove
Why is
show
Jesse
and tell.
thinking about it? I wonder
Maybe he
what's
doesn't
going
want to
through
remove
his-
show and tell. That's my guess. He doesn't
Oh.
want to. He has to exile. That's his only blue card.
And he can't get dazed here though. He just has to go for it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with
Because
that.
if Grizzlebrand comes in, he's at 20. Jesse's
Yeah.
at 20.
Yeah, I think if you can get this Grizzlebrand in, it's gonna be
Yeah,
big.
daze doesn't matter. Now, but he needs. But so if I'm Jesse, I do it right now. And the reason being is that Kyle does play Stifles.
That's a very good point.
You
And it
know,
looks
and
like,
you don't want to get stifled on one of the triggers because you still have to pay the 7 life as
yeah,
part
that'd
of the
be
cost.
pretty awful.
There we
He
go.
drew
Now we're
Force
talking
Daze.
business.
Those are the only 2 blue cards, though. So
Yeah, well, the days.
enough.
Actually, the days is straight up counter here in a lot of positions
you're
as
right.
well.
Kyle's so set
He's
back on
so
mana.
back.
to
He could do it
Jesse.
again. Jesse's a gambler. He's not afraid to do it, but I don't think there's any point. He discards a second Grizzlebrand, which is interesting given that we know what Kyle has.
Yeah, he could reanimate a Grizzlebrand.
He
and
has a
just
reanimate in his hand, I
legend
believe.
rule them.
Doesn't he have one in his
He
hand?
does. There it is.
Oh,
I believe-
man.
Is that Robert Bliss artwork? I think that's who
I have
did the artwork for
no idea.
Reanimate. Yes, Robert Bliss.
Do we know him? Or?
No, he's an artist back in the late '90s. He hasn't really done a lot of artwork
Oh, I
since
see.
then. But Jason Felix, the artist that's
All right,
here.
Swords to Plowshares. Oh, he knows him?
No, yeah, we
Oh,
were
was this
talking
the
about
guy
him
that
yesterday
we were
morning.
talking about? You and I were talking about?
Uh,
Robert Bliss? The dude that did the covers for the thing? in
No,
this
no,
stuff?
no.
That's
no,
a different guy. Okay.
artist, yeah. So there's Reanimate right there. Robert Bliss. He's one of my favorite artists. He apparently works on movies now, though.
Oh,
He
okay.
does a lot of movie stuff. So
Moving
Swords
on
to
up.
Plowshares gets that Force of Will. Removing Ponder. So he had a Ponder, apparently. I didn't even know. I thought his only blue
okay.
card was the Dazed.
And we're going to see a Relic of Progenitus come down, and that's going to get countered by Days, and he's going to pay for it. Like, no.
Yeah, no
Might as well just
alternate
pay here,
casting
right?
cost.
I don't know if, I mean, do you care about Relic in that spot? Like, you've got a Grizzlebrand, you can fill up your hand in your graveyard again at will. All right. Old Uncle Grizzle's going to hit for 6 here, putting Jesse back up to 17. So he's got, like, an easy cushion to do one more Grizzlebrand activation, and he can do another if it comes down to it.
I think you keep the Relic off the table because it could just do too much damage. Like, it's one thing if it was just going to happen right now, like, okay, I lose a Grizzlebrand. That's really all he would lose. But I think it's a matter of,
like, if he loses
cutting off options later.
The Grizzlebrand on board, then he's going to really want to.
He's going to want that Grizzlebrand, but even
it just
more
feels like
so,
he could just refill his graveyard. Like, he can
also just draw another counterspell instead of Daze. He's got Grizzlebrand, right? I mean, he's just using a Daze. It's like all he.
I think I'm just more concerned about, like, getting a Force of Will and not having anything to pitch. I mean, he can cast it at this point, but
yeah, I don't mind that.
I guess when you have nearly unlimited resources, you just use what you've got, right? Blazing Archon comes in, and that's actually just going to be a clock. Right?
Yeah.
It's just now he's hitting for 10.
I mean, Grizzlebrand is a pretty good clock, too.
And Grizzlebrand's going to draw 7 more. Jace the Mind Sculptor, a couple of Reanimates.
Wow. So Jesse entombs Blazing Archon.
And he's going to Thought Seize as well.
Animate deads.
So he's definitely just going to take the Reanimate here.
What else does he have?
I think Jesse has this thing pretty well locked up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Scoop him up.
So does Kyle.
Looks like Kyle agreed with me.
Yeah, so
he's had enough. I don't think Jesse noticed that Kyle had conceded.
Yeah, Jesse's like, wait a minute, what happened? What did I cast? So that was fun.
That was good. Hey, welcome back to the booth. I'm Marshall. That's Joey.
Hey guys.
We're in Seattle.
We are. We're in Seattle
I like
watching
Seattle.